Hello and welcome to the practice club sort of thing. In this first event, we're going to go over a little bit of like how to do each exercise pretty like quickly, but in subsequent ones we won't. So this is kind of like recorded so that you can go back and look at that if you don't know how to do the exercises. So the main exercises we're going to do. We have the vocal function and warm up, so that's just like we'll do a pitch hill or a pitch slide before we get started, just to kind of like warm up in terms of pitch. And then the first thing we'll do after that is SOVTs for 4 minutes, break for 1. And then we'll have pitch hills for 4 minutes, break for 1. Now, we're not gonna like keep the voice going for 4 minutes, of course. We're just using that as a guide of like approximately how long we're gonna spend on this. Then we have the range and sort of singing side of things. This is when we do the empty step downs for 5 repetitions, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, which is like going up in a scale for 5 repetitions, and then we do SOVTs again for 4 and break for 5. Then after all that, after we do all the exercises, then we'll like ask each other, what did you look forward to, or what do you look forward to making progress on this week? And that's just kind of like a way of kind of like keeping you focused on actually what you want to achieve. Because a lot of people can get too focused on what they're trying to get rid of in their voice or what they're trying to fix, instead of like looking at the potential that their voice has and going like, oh, this is going to be really cool when I can do it. So for that, we'll just do like about 1 or 2 minutes, not like too long. Sort of just talking about what you look forward to this week, and then you'll ask the next person in the VC the same thing. And if anyone wants to skip, that's fine, but you just have to say so pretty quickly. And then yeah, that's about it. And yeah. So to get started, we'll have a look at the SOVTs. So I'm going to use a lip trill. You can do whatever you want. You can use straw and water. You can do the zh sound. You can do like a... I would avoid the V sound just because it has some things that you probably don't want. It can encourage hyperduction, but if you know what to look out for, they're fine. So I'm going to use the lip trill, and it's going to be like this. Oh, and this is when I remembered that, yeah, we were going to do the pitch slide first. So let's do that. So it's just up and down in the range. This is kind of like a good opportunity to tell you like what kind of range you should expect to be able to do completely relaxed at first as well, because as soon as you start adding any kind of effort to go up in pitch, that's telling you like that's the max that you can do for these exercises here. So that's just a normal pitch slide. And then we'll do the SOVTs. So again, I'm going to do lip trills for this one. The idea is that we just basically hold a note for a fair bit of time, pretty much just as long as you have breath for comfortably. And that's like a way to just kind of like relax the voice and encourage really good closure and stuff like that. Then we just do random different pitches. And it's good to have a little bit of a trailing bit of trill on its own, just to sort of like encourage you to have really good airflow kind of mechanics. Okay, so let's do that for 4 minutes, and then we'll move on to the pitch hills and so on. So Every time you do one of these, you just pick a random pitch, and you shouldn't try to match what someone else is doing. So don't try to match what I'm doing. Just pick whatever you feel like you want to do. And that way, as long as you're doing slightly different pitches every time, it'll be really good because you won't like accidentally push yourself to go too high. So going too high will sound a little bit strained, and it might upset the trill, or whatever else SOVT you're going to be doing. But you can't rely on that, so just pick whatever you feel like doing, rather than trying to like push yourself to do something. Okay, so we'll do 4 minutes starting now. Alright. Now, you should notice from this that your voice should be a lot more clear and a lot easier to control. I know that I started out with, like, a lot of trouble with, like, you know, I've just woken up, basically, so my voice was a little bit rough, and now it feels a lot more controllable. It feels like it's just doing whatever, you know, whatever it should be doing instead of, like, me trying to force it. So, that's the lip trills, or whatever other something you want to do. Now, note as we go through this, if you don't want to hear me, what I'll do is I'll just put, here. I'll just say done, when I've finished mine. So if you want to mute what I'm doing, then go ahead and do that, and I'll just say that I'm done when we're finished on that one. So, or you can just turn me down, it's okay. Whatever you prefer. So now let's go on to the pitch hills. So the thing with pitch hills is that they have to be like the most minimal thing that you can do with your voice, but still be able to like control the voice. So we don't want them to be like, we don't want them to be powerful, basically. We want them to be like the most delicate configuration that we can do. So this would be too much effort. Because I'm essentially just making the voice more sort of powerful in order to make it easier to use. So instead, we want something like this. See how it's gonna cut out before, before anything like bad happens, essentially. That's the sort of configuration that we want. So we want least amount of like vocal work going into this. The idea with the pitch hills is that we're learning the ideal coordination for every pitch in the range. The SOVTs are kind of like a way of pushing the voice to do a better coordination, and you do have to be very relaxed with them, but they're not as sort of delicate as the pitch hills. So for the pitch hills, we start out fairly low with just a little like wobble up and down in pitch, somewhere that's like not super low, but not like high. The rule with these, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, so the rule with these is that if you reach a point where you have to put in effort to get higher, that's when you stop and you come down to the bottom again. So if I did then I just stop and I start from the very bottom again. The reason is that what you're doing is you're trying to learn how to raise and lower the pitch without having issues like, without compensations essentially. But when you like let it kind of compensate and strain to go up higher, that's when you're going to run into issues. So you just kind of like reset and start from the beginning again. Or you can take a break, of course, but it's good to end on a good note anyway. So sometimes it's best to like do a little bit of smaller, like lower pitch stuff to kind of warm down. So it's gonna look like this. We just go up and down in pitch a few times, and then when the voice feels like it's very, 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 very well coordinated here, we don't have to like do anything special to keep that going, and we're very confident with it. Then we go up a little bit higher. So for example. You can see that the whole time, every pitch that I'm doing, whenever I'm sliding up and down, there's no difference between the pitches in terms of how much, like, effort I have to put in to do them. They're all exactly the same. So the very bottom of the pitch range when you do this, it's like that sort of thing, whatever you do to start, that's gonna be the like maximum amount of effort that you can put into this. So, now let's try going through and doing this. Same sort of deal. I'll say done when I have finished. So if you want to mute me or put me on low volume, then go ahead. Now the other thing is, just before we get started, what was it? Oh yeah, the voice might cut out completely and that's fine. As long as you don't force it not to. That's really all that matters there. And as usual, if there's any kind of strain or you feel any physical movements, that's probably an issue and you just stop and start from the beginning again. It's good to take like 10 seconds or so just to sort of like get ready to start again. When you get to the top or when you have any kind of issue, just wait for like 10 seconds and then start again. Alright, let's start doing those then. So that was, oh, I'll do. Alright, so that's what the pictures are like, and we're essentially just looking for, like, we're looking for proving to the voice that the whole range in terms of pitch is completely homogeneous. There's no effort needed at any point in the range. And if we keep doing this and we still stay like below that threshold for too much effort, which is like any at all, then we'll still make progress and we'll still expand the range. It just means that we do it without, building bad habits. Might be a little bit slower in the medium term, but it's definitely a lot faster in the long term. Cool, so that is the vocal function and warm-up portion. Now it's time to do the range and singing part. So this is much more tuned towards getting more range and singing. So, and it's very fundamental to that. It's not like making you good at singing necessarily, but it's just giving you the actual basic capability of hitting these notes. So if that's something that you want to be able to do, then this is what we're going to do. The first one is M2 step downs. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, which is just a scale. And then we have the SOVTs again. So first off, the M2 step downs. I think probably a lot of people would have done these, but basically the idea is we do some high note that we can do fairly easily at a slightly louder volume. Ha! Something like that. And then we come down, we step down in these little steps down to our normal range again. So we're like, ah, 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 ah. So we just kind of like step down one little bit at a time. The difficulty here is that when you get near the break, it's very likely that you'll have too much pressure in the voice, and that will cause breaks. And that sort of thing will happen. That's essentially what we're trying to reduce. So if you notice that there's this feeling of like the break is going to happen soon, that's when you need to push less air through the voice. Essentially, you're doing the opposite of projection. And you also need to focus on like what it is that like your normal voice sounds like. Like you have to think like, like I know what this sounds like, so I'm just heading towards that. You're just essentially telling yourself, I want my voice to go back to normal as quickly as possible when coming down, but without having to actually like try hard to make anything happen, because that will cause it to fall apart as well. So let's do that. We're gonna do 5 repetitions of that. Similar sort of thing. If you don't want to hear mine, then feel free to mute me now and I'll say I'm done when I'm done. Okay, so for and for the note, it doesn't matter what it is. So just don't push yourself to go really, really high, and don't go too low. Just whatever feels comfortable to do a loud voice at this high pitch. If you don't have access to M2 yet, then don't try to do this because it won't work. Probably just continue doing SOVTs and pitch hills for a bit longer if you don't have access to M2. Okay, so starting now. Oh, another thing that I forgot. If you say la instead of like ha or anything like that, it will be a little bit harder, but you'll get a sort of cleaner result. So instead of going ha, if you do la, notice that it doesn't have that sort of thing that starts the sound. That is something that you probably don't want, and it will encourage a little bit more pressure if you don't know how to reduce that. So La is a little bit better, but it is a little bit harder to get used to, so do whatever you're comfortable with for the first one, and then switch to La if you can. Okay, actually starting this time. La, 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 la. That's one. La, 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 la. That's two. La, 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 la. That's three. La, 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 la. Bit of trouble in the middle there. La, 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 la. Cool, and if my sense of numbers is not completely off, I think that's the fifth one. Alright, so now, that's just to like make you blend the voice. It won't make you sound good when you're at a high pitch. That's sort of what this next one's for. Let's see. Okay. So this will make you blend the voice, but it won't make your voice sound good at the high pitch. That's what this next one's for. And that is where the 1, 2, 3, 4 steps come in. This is something that is sort of, what should I say? It's not exactly experimental, but it's not something that is very well established. But basically, when we're going up like this, we're trying to keep the voice as full and as loud as we can comfortably. But we're trying to keep it at a consistent level if possible, so we're kind of committing to one level of fullness and volume when we start, and we're trying to keep that going as much as we can. If there's any kind of trouble, like the voice breaks a lot, or it goes really hollow really quickly, or you get any kind of strain, then that means that you've pushed it too far, and you should just like warm down. So, for example, if I did this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I can probably just do a few more to try to sort out that break and convince myself to use less pressure. But if I did something that was straining there, then that's when I'd just stop for now. Or maybe do like a little bit of pitch hills or something like that to just warm down. So it's very important that this doesn't take any more effort than the low part of the scale. So when you first start this, a little bit like with the pitch hills, you're setting like this is the maximum amount of effort that I'm willing to put in. And then when you go up and it exceeds that, then you're done for now. So I'll give you an example of what this is like. It doesn't have to be a specific scale either. I find that it's best to keep the steps, like the intervals, very, very, very small. So rather than going like where you already used up like half your range, it's best to do really small steps. So rather than going 1, 2, 3, 4, like no, you're not gonna learn anything from that. So instead, you need to make them really, really small. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, now I'm firmly in M2, and I can stop. So, when you go up like this and you hit that point where basically it's just normal sort of like M2 range, there's nothing like, you basically have no extra closure, so you don't sound more full than you normally would, or when you feel like what you just tried to do just had no effect, that's when you're high enough. So, same usual rule of just like any effort means just, take a break. Okay, so we'll start down somewhere around here. And again, it doesn't matter what the scale is, as long as the intervals are pretty small. Okay, starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and that's probably about as high as I can do with that level of closure, which is not really that great. But we'll work on it. The main thing here is that the level of closure that you can achieve here is pretty much governed by how much pressure you have. If you have too much pressure, you will not get the closure you want. So you need very, very, very low pressure. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how it's like pushing to do all of this, and that's not what you want. You want it to be completely effortless, kind of like bright in a loud way, but without sort of like that pushness. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a little bit better, but I got less closure. And that's fine. You just kind of like, this is the sort of thing that you do. You just kind of go back and forth looking for a good balance. And it takes a long time to build up the coordination to do high closure like this. What I can do is barely anything, by the way. I don't practice this anywhere near enough, so there are even people in the same server that can do a lot better than this. And if you want to be able to like sing really loud, then yeah, you have to by far surpass what I'm doing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3. See how a little bit of pressure just completely ruins it. 3, 3. And trying to like tighten up also completely ruins it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that was a little bit better. And we'll just do one more. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, as you can see, it's pretty much always very mixed results. And that's kind of the point. You're looking for a coordination that you don't have, and you're also looking for a coordination that's extremely delicate. So, if it's like not breaking up, there's probably something wrong, unless you're just really good at it. Okay. Let's see. Alright, so that's the empty step downs and the 1, 2, 3, 4 done. And let's just do a little bit more SOVTs to sort of finish off all of that, to warm down. So, starting now. All right. So, that should make things a little bit easier to speak comfortably now that we've done the SOVTs. let's see. So that's all of the exercises for now. And then we can go on to the final little bit. For that, I'll make the recording leave. So if you attend the what's the words, the practice sort of club things, in future there'll be like another section after this. So just so that you know if you're listening to this in recording.